Hey, I'm Guy. That's John.
Yes, it is. Subscribe to this channel, like the video. Also, I need you to check out the podcast below in the description. Do it now.
All right, John. Joe Person, who covers the Carolina Panthers for the Athletic, wrote that on Monday that the 49ers are among the teams that have reached out to Carolina to gauge the Panthers' interest in potentially trading Teddy Bridgewater, according to sources. He also added the Niners indicated last week they'd like to find a solid backup for Jimmy. I mentioned that he added that because I don't think when you look at what Teddy Bridgewater makes this year, $17 million with a $22 million cap number, I don't know if he's adding some context for John Lynch there, but you bring it on Teddy Bridgewater, you're not keeping Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, I saw a lot of people on social media because the moment you read this, you go, they're going to get rid of Jimmy for Teddy. It's like, guys, read between the lines. If you're going to get rid of Jimmy and trade for Teddy or acquire them both, they're not both going to stay because Jimmy makes over 20. He makes 17. That's not what you're going to do, right? The move is pretty clear if they're interested in Teddy. You have to have your ducks in a row to be able to pull the trigger if you get a rookie quarterback. And if you get a rookie quarterback, what are you doing? You're immediately getting rid of Jimmy Garoppolo, or maybe he's already gone. But you wouldn't keep. I'm adamant. There's no chance they're drafting a top 15 rookie and Jimmy Garoppolo's on the team. That's not happening. I feel confident about that without any information. It's not the way the league works. You would get rid of Jimmy because he still has value, but you might bring in Teddy, who makes less, who is a serviceable starter if you don't feel the rookie's going, who also you don't feel like at any moment you can bench. Now, clearly Kyle has benched Jimmy before, but it does, like, there's a dynamic to the locker room.
He's been the starting quarterback on this team. And again, there was a basic...
He's in his late 20s. It's not Alex Smith, who's 34. It is complicated to draft a quarterback with Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't think it's possible.
Do you think they would get more for Jimmy than they would have to give to get Teddy?
I think to get Teddy would potentially mean that let's say the Panthers got Deshaun Watson, and maybe they would just give you Teddy for like a fourth or a fifth. I don't know what's Teddy's value. Well,
I don't think it's more than a fourth. Yeah.
At $17 million, yeah, it's probably a conditional 6 or something. Yeah, it's not much. But like, do the Saints strike out and they view Teddy like for $17 million? They want him back. You know, they do know him and they won games with him, right?
Yeah. I mean, they
he's more valuable to the Saints than he is the Niners.
They might prefer Jameis.
But they also might prefer Teddy.
They might. I mean, they might
because if they wanted to keep Jameis, they could have. Yeah. They got options. But Sam Darnold he costs a lot to acquire, and then you're basically giving him 2 years, $30 million. So it's like, well, I get Teddy year to year. It still gives us options. It's a little. I'm not comparing Teddy to Phillip Rivers, but the one thing Rivers did with the Colts, right, is just a 1-year contract. It didn't tie him to anything, and it just allowed you wiggle room every year. Right? Because you never know in a year what's going to become available. And that's kind of what Jimmy provides now. The difference is Jimmy just goes down like 3 times a season. If Jimmy was healthy, I still would be like, and they had just gone 9-7 and Jimmy had been average.
It's hard because if he was healthy, we'd have seen him play football this year. You know?
Yeah, you'd have a better gauge on him. Yeah, it's impossible to play that game.
We
saw Teddy play and he wasn't that good.
But back to your original
point. His team sucked.
Back to your original point. This is due diligence. This is preparing for all the eventual, for all the possible, I love using this phrase, eventualities, preparing for every eventuality. But there's another dynamic here, which is if the Panthers are trading Teddy, like you said, it's probably because they were acquiring Deshaun, right? Would you trade Teddy if you're drafting a quarterback at 8? You might. You might still do it. If you think the guy we're drafting at 8
rookie starters in the top 15 start. Or, I mean, rookie quarterbacks start.
I understand, but what I'm saying is what you're saying is that the Panthers would trade him to draft a rookie, but the Niners would also be trading for him to be a backup for their rookie or to start for their rookie. My point is the Panthers are drafting 8, the Niners are drafting 12. These two teams are kind of in the same boat in that they both have quarterbacks and they're both looking around. So, and, you know, they both would want Deshaun. So like if the Panthers are trading you Teddy, is it because they got Deshaun, as you referenced? Or is it because they're drafting a quarterback they think is ready to play? And if that's the case, they might be drafting the quarterback you want.
Well, they were in on the
Teddy's
Deshaun.
less useful
They were
to
in
you.
on. They were in the Deshaun deal, right? They were a team that was very actively. They were like a team that wants to be in the Deshaun sweepstakes. So once you know that as a team, you would who just has unknown quarterback situations. I think you just gauge what the draft compensation would be to acquire a player. Like I just think that's your job, right? You're not. It'd have been weird if you're like, the Niners were. I'm trying to think of a player. Russell's a bad example, like Josh Allen or something. Like, the Niners were calling the Bills. Something just be like, what are they even doing? I think this one is pretty understandable. You got 7 different lanes you could take with different scenarios. You just want to know. And the Niners are in a situation right now where their quarterback situation, undisputable, whether Jimmy comes back, whether Jimmy's traded, I'm sure they have a whiteboard somewhere in their building with like 5 different options. Jimmy's status is, and at this point, Jimmy has to know it, like it's out of his control whether he comes back, right? There are just things that if they get an option that they view as better, they're going to take it.
Yeah,
and that option might not play out.
No, I agree with everything you're saying. I think it's important to point out that the Niners and the Panthers are connected in a lot of these scenarios. If it's Deshaun, they're both trying to get him. If it's drafting a quarterback, the Panthers or the Niners.
I think a huge difference, though, in the Niners and the Panthers is the Panthers like just getting rid of $17 million for him if they are going to go with, let's say, a rookie. Obviously, Deshaun, it makes sense. But even with a rookie, they're kind of starting, like their expectations, that extra money to sign other guys. The Niners have had this like situation 2 of the last 3 years where their backups sucked and it cost them games and they lost a ton. I just think they fundamentally probably look at it differently than Matt Rule might in 3 or 4 years, right? They're just at different points in time in not just their program building, but Kyle's been a head coach in the league for 4 years. Matt just won. To me, they just have different wants. Like humans have different wants. Businesses have different wants. The Niners and the Panthers just, I think, have different wants probably in the way they view the backup quarterback. That's the way I would describe it.
Yeah, but Teddy's not going to be the Niners' backup quarterback unless he's the backup quarterback for a rookie who replaces him. Right.
So what the scenario I'm thinking is you go into the draft, you're able to get Justin Fields, they pull off a Deshaun Watson trade, you trade Jimmy Garoppolo to the Patriots, you feel you want to get a veteran guy, a high-level guy, you got some extra money because Jimmy's gone, you get Teddy to be around this guy.
Yeah, I'm just saying the hope is if they trade for Deshaun, right, that the Texans don't turn around and use that pick on Justin Fields at 8. I'm just saying these two teams, you're right.
Trades for Deshaun?
What's that?
If who trades for Deshaun?
If the Panthers were to trade for Deshaun, now the Texans are drafting 8. Maybe they like.
I see where
I'm just saying there is a trickle down here that you are kind of connected, and all these different scenarios kind of affect the other, and that's where the Niners.
Well, this is what I'm saying about Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think since you and I have been doing this, there are so many dominoes that we don't know how we're going to play out, which is kind of crazy in the top of the draft, right?
Yeah.
The Jets and the Dolphins, this team, the Eagles. Like, I don't know. Like there is, I get tired of hypotheticals, but the hypotheticals in this draft talk and with the quarterback kind of carousel is legit right now. Cause it's not like I could tell you 5 different scenarios and they'd all be believable, right? This team trades up for this guy. This team trades for this guy. This team keeps Tua. This team doesn't trade Sam Darnold. This team does trade Sam Darnold. The Texans do this. Like because part of it is just there's this veteran star quarterback who could go to one of these teams drafted ahead of the Niners that then immediately do the Texans automatically draft a quarterback? We don't even know that. Right?
They might not. The other part of this that this is the real fun, I think, of the intelligence community that John Lynch is a part of and that you've worked in. John Lynch would be interested to know what the Panthers are doing, and the Panthers aren't going to tell him what they're doing, and they wouldn't know right now. But at some point in time, we've talked about could the Eagles at 6 be a trade partner for the 49ers if they feel like they've got to get up ahead of Carolina, or Detroit at 7 if you feel like you got to get up ahead of Carolina and Denver and Dallas. I'm not saying
you're saying doing like the Al Davis, just calling around to not really actually try to trade for your players, just see if they're available to kind of get your mindset.
Just see kind of what does he feel like they would keep just does he think they like a quarterback? And
now you're thinking, guy.
I just want you can't ask
Stanford
directly,
guy.
but John's a friendly guy. Maybe gets people to open up, you know?
Yeah, hey, what are your guys' quarterback rankings for this upcoming draft?
Boy, that kid from North Dakota State, huh? Ugly throwing motion, am I right?
Teddy cashed in on that little run he had in the Saints for these 2 years.
He did.
Made some cash back. Come a long way from that leg falling off to a couple straight years of like 23-17. He's basically made $40 million in 2 years. That's a pretty good little haul.